Hey guys, it's Mark from Migraine Professional. I used to suffer from migraines and headaches until about 5 years ago when I figured out how to beat them, and I've been migraine free ever since. Now I teach other people how to do the same, and in this video, we're going to be talking about, we're going to kind of go through a tutorial on how to understand hypnic headaches. So what are hypnic headaches? Hypnic headaches are headaches that happen at night. They often wake you up. So they'll happen in the middle of the night, generally between 1 to 3 a.m. or 4 to 6 a.m. In the middle of the night, they'll generally wake you up, you'll have a headache. They can be one-sided or both-sided. They can last anywhere from a few minutes up to 6 hours. So they're a very broad category. And of course, you don't want to use this as a method for diagnosing yourself. You want to go to your doctor, you want to ask your doctor. They are actually very common. It's very common to get them, but they're not very commonly diagnosed. They're actually one of the more rare headache conditions to diagnose. So the big thing that we want to understand with hypnic headaches is our circadian cycle. So our circadian cycle is the 24-hour clock that our body goes by. Just like the sun and the moon go by a clock, just like all the plants and the animals go by a clock, our body, our internal mechanisms work on a clock. This is led by mainly the functioning of two hormones in our body, cortisol and melatonin. Cortisol can generally be thought of as the hot, the waking up, the give you energy hormone, and melatonin is thought of as the cool, the dark, the slowing you down, the repairing you, the rejuvenating you, sleep hormone. So between these two, we have our life. So in the morning, when we wake up, generally for a healthy person, around 6 a.m. in the morning when you wake up, when the sun starts coming up, your cortisol will spike. It will skyrocket up until about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, when the sun is at its highest, and then it will slowly start to come down. And by 6 o'clock, it'll start getting very, very low. And then as it gets very, very low, this allows melatonin to start coming up. And melatonin will start coming up and climbing and climbing and climbing right up into our sleep right around this time frame up until 6 a.m. when cortisol will start spiking up again, and this will shut off melatonin production. So there is this balance, there's this ebb and this flow to the body, and it's regulated by this cortisol. And when there's the absence of cortisol, then there's melatonin, and melatonin helps us repair and rejuvenate. As we know, while we sleep, our brain will actually shrink up to 20%, and this will help detoxify the brain, and we can think of it as the brain squeezing out the toxins and getting ready for the next day of work and comprehension and driving thoughts and messages and hormones and all those good things. So without the melatonin happening, we don't get our sleep, our brain doesn't repair, our brain cannot cope. As we know, after you don't have sleep for about 72 hours, you start having severe hallucinations and then you die. So you want to make sure that you're getting your melatonin. And melatonin happens in the absence of cortisol. Now cortisol, it is a very stimulating, a very charging hormone. It winds you up and it gives you energy in the morning. It also helps to control inflammation, and it's known as one of our stress hormones. But it also plays a role in blood sugar management. So cortisol does a massive amount of things. It is our main stress hormone. It is very, very powerful. When it's regulated, when it's controlled, it's amazing. We absolutely need it to function and live. But when it's out of control, when it's not regulated, when it's too high, when it should be low, when it's too low, when it should be high, we start getting lots of problems. It starts creating rampant inflammation. It starts destroying our blood sugar levels, our mood and our energy start plummeting and dropping and spiking just like our blood sugar, and it creates a seesaw of problems, and this leads to a really catabolic physiology. Your body starts breaking down, your brain starts breaking down, and then there's a massive number of diseases that start to develop, and chronic diseases, and a massive cascade of issues. So what we want to know about our circadian rhythm is that it's affected by a couple of different things. So first off, working out. Working out, when you're going out, when you're expending energy, when you're putting energy out into the environment, your body thinks that you are in danger, you are in a scenario that requires energy, so then it mobilizes energy. And as we know, cortisol is one of our main mobilizing stress hormones. So then it spikes up cortisol. It brings up that cortisol and it inhibits melatonin. So we want to make sure we avoid working out too close to sleep. We want to make sure that we avoid working out if our body is already having problems with its hormones, with energy, with mood, with blood sugar handling. We want to be careful with working out because it's spending energy. We don't want to work out, we want to work in. We want to use exercises that help build our energy. Next, we have trauma and stress. So of course, anything that stresses you out, especially emotional stress, that gets you going, that gets you riled up. Your cortisol is there to support you. It spikes up and it gets going. Then we have caffeine. So caffeine, it's because of its stimulating effect on the body, its heating effect on the body. It's also, whenever we have caffeine, whenever we have any kinds of stimulants, caffeine, cacao, coffee, tea, these increase the cortisol in the body. So we want to be careful. We want to be careful if we're having too much cortisol or our cortisol levels are getting off. We want to make sure we avoid caffeine too late at night because caffeine has a 6-hour half-life and this can continue right up until our sleep. And then if our caffeine levels drop off during sleep and we get into withdrawal, this can actually wake us up in the middle of the night because our body is looking for that caffeine. Then we have blue light. So as you can see, I'm wearing these glasses. They're from Axon Optics and they have the FL41 pink tints. Red tints, and this actually blocks blue and green light. So from our screens, from fluorescent lighting, they give off a spectrum of light. Part of that spectrum is the blue-green spectrum. That spectrum has been shown, especially in migraine sufferers, that to impact their light sensitivity. And the blue-green spectrum has also been shown to that's what increases your cortisol levels in the morning. So when the sun comes out, it's nice and bright. The sort of stimulation from that blue light spectrum is what wakes us up in the morning. So we need that in the morning, but then in the evening, when we're looking at our screens, when we're under fluorescent lightings, that can do us damage. So then we have glasses, we have things like apps that you can use that turn off the blue light on your phone or your laptop. We have screens that you can put over, like protectors that you can put over your screens to block that blue light. You want to make sure that you're being careful with your blue light usage. The last time that you want to have blue light kind of saturation is 2 to 3 hours before bed. And the next thing is stimulation. So any kind of stimulation, anything that gets you going, that's bringing up your heart rate. Obviously, one of the kinds of stimulation that we can't really avoid at night is intercourse, is sex. So we can't really do anything about that. So the next part is how can we regulate our circadian rhythms? How do we keep our circadian rhythms regulated? And how do we keep our body tuned to our environment so that our hormones are coming in and going at regulated rates as they should be with the ebb and flow of nature around us? So simple things. So breathing technique, breathing is one of the easiest ways to kind of bring down cortisol. If our cortisol is high, if we're stressed out, doing a 4x4x4 breath. So inhaling through your nose, into your abdomen, not into your chest, not into your shoulders, into your abdomen. Inhaling through your nose, inhaling for 4 breaths, holding for 4 breaths, and then exhaling for 4 breaths. Repeating that a couple times will drop your cortisol levels, will help ease off that stress and help your body relax and chill out. Then, of course, you want to make sure that you get direct sunlight 15 to 20 minutes a day, every day. So this tunes our body. Direct sunlight is like a tuning mechanism for your body. Just like you have to tune your car, you want to make sure that you're getting direct sunlight every day because this tunes your circadian rhythms. Then you want to avoid sleeping in. One of the biggest triggers of migraines is sleeping in, so you want to be careful with it. You want to avoid it as much as you can. I know you want to sleep in on weekends, but it's better to go to sleep a little bit earlier than have to sleep in later. Then you want to sleep in blackout conditions. So getting things like blackout blinds, unplugging everything in your room, not having any little lights, any little electronics, having complete darkness in your room when you sleep so that your melatonin can rise, because light stimulation, light also stimulates you through your skin. So when light makes contact with your skin, it creates that cortisol response. You want to black out everything. Then a simple kind of technique to help you wind into sleep is to keep your room cool, but to warm your extremities, your hands and your feet. Warm them up before bed, but keep your room cool. It's actually been shown to be better for you to sleep in a cool room. Then we have a couple of other things that we can do for our circadian rhythms and our hypnic headaches. So melatonin, 1 to 3 milligrams taken sublingually under the tongue, has been shown to help with hypnic headaches. Now, we have to be careful with melatonin because melatonin is a hormone. So whenever we're taking something from outside of us, it is impacting our physiology. It is creating a cascade of other reactions. It is much better for us to work on lowering our cortisol before sleep than to have to take melatonin when we go to sleep, because melatonin is a hormone and this is changing the way our body is functioning. Hormones are very delicate. We want to be careful, especially with any long-term use of melatonin. Then sleep foods. So generally, sleep foods are known as foods that are high in tryptophan. Tryptophan is turned into the body into serotonin and melatonin, and this helps us sleep. And so aside from your food triggers, some foods, and you want to be careful, some foods like dark chocolate, poultry, pumpkin seeds, spirulina, dates, red meat, fish, squash seeds, and lamb are high in tryptophan. These foods are really high in it, and they'll help you kind of sleep and get a good night's rest. But of course, with any foods, you want to see how your body reacts. You want to tune it to your own body's reaction. Then, then this time between 1 to 6 a.m., our body has its own clock that it goes by. It's a 24-hour clock that it regulates its organs by. And between 1 to 6 a.m., it is working through the liver, the lung, and the large intestine. So if we are waking up that time with a headache, we want to be careful. We want to make sure that our liver, our lungs, and our large intestine are supported, that they're not having problems. Simple things like a liver, like an overburdened liver from too much toxicity, lung infection, and a parasitic infection in our large intestine. And then, of course, blood sugar. We always want to make sure we regulate blood sugar. Some simple techniques we can use to kind of regulate blood sugar. You're eating protein and fat meals. You're eating slow carbohydrates, low glycemic load, low glycemic index carbohydrates. You're making sure you're getting fiber with each meal and protein with each meal. You're drinking enough water before your meals. And if you're making any starchy carbs, you're letting them cool before you eat them, helping to kind of create those resistant starches. And I'm going to link to an article in the description that takes you through 10 super simple blood sugar stabilizing snacks that you can look at and incorporate into your day that help you regulate your blood sugar. You want to make sure that if you're finding that you have blood sugar handling problems, you're eating a good meal right before bed so that you can make it through the whole night without your blood sugar dropping. Because as soon as your blood sugar drops, your cortisol is going to spike to bring your blood sugar back up. That's going to create a lot of problems. And I'm going to link to an article in the description on the 7 vitals of hypnic headaches. If you want more information, check out that article. And so let me know in the comments below, do you get headaches while you sleep? Do they wake you up, or do you wake up and then you get them? How often does it happen? Let me know in the comments. Thanks. Hey, it's Mark from migraineprofessional.com. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe in the bottom left corner, and if you want to learn more about migraines and headaches than you've ever known before, and understand what causes them, what creates them, and what you can do about them, make sure to go to migraineprofessional.com. Thanks.